Hi there, and welcome everybody to quite a difficult Wednesday bulletin on This Is Ibrox. Today I've got Reese. Don't know who you've annoyed at This Is Ibrox headquarters for being on not only the immediate post-match last night, but this. How are you doing? Have you calmed down any yet?
Loaded with cold and still absolutely fuming, mate. It's not gone well, but hopefully it's therapeutic.
That's it. Well, in honour of your top, every little thing will be all right, I suppose.
Aye, hopefully, mate. Although I'm not really confident for Saturday with the look ahead, but I'm sure we'll go on to that.
You certainly will. And Crawford, how are you doing after that last night as well?
I put in the chat, see, waking up in the morning after Rangers have been beat the night before, it's probably the worst feeling in the world. So still try to get it out of my brain and just look forward to Saturday and next Tuesday, but it's hard going.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Right, today we're going to, on the Wednesday bulletin, we're going to break it down a wee bit. We're going to talk about the game itself, the tactics involved in the game. We're going to get into the goals, particularly maybe in the first goal, Barisic and McLaughlin. Dead keen to get the guys' thoughts on the penalty. I know there's been lots of discussion on Twitter about that today. Discuss the lack of creativity, something I know you were keen to touch on last night, Reese. Some of the personnel changes, and then we'll go on to have a wee look ahead against Killie. But first, I always like to start off on a wee on this day, and I don't want it to be all doom and gloom, Crawford, so I'll come to you on this. But on this day in 1993, Rangers had a testimonial for Ali McCoist, which Newcastle unfortunately won 2-1. And a weird one, this McCoist missed it through injury. I don't know many people that miss their own testimonials through injury, but there was one. And then on the exact same day in 1996, we had another Rangers Legends testimonial in Richard Gough. Defeated Arsenal 3-0 at Ibrox. I know the podcast's only about half an hour, Crawford, but do you want to tell us what guys like McCoist and Gough mean to you? I know you talked really, really well about them in your My Rangers 11, but what do guys like that mean to you?
Well, they're just Rangers epitomised, really, don't they? If ever two players deserve testimonials, it says two. Gough, probably, in my opinion, greatest ever captain. I never seen John Gregg, so in my area, greatest captain I've ever seen for Rangers. And McCoist, all-time record goal scorer. Grew up idolising the guy. Absolutely superb. So if ever two players deserve testimonials, it was definitely those two. And as I said before we went live, I think I was maybe at both of them.
Yeah.
But I can't really remember. There's been too much water under the bridge. But imagine McCoist missing it if that's true.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I probably was there. There've been great occasions and good to see two legends being recognised by the club.
Yeah, I think it might be one of the most McCoist things ever is him missing his own testimonial, but it's just another one of his stories, I suppose. Reece, just a genuine question before we get into the meat of things. Have you ever seen a Rangers testimonial? Because I don't think I have. And would you like to see Tav 10-year honoured at the club if he makes it?
I don't actually think I have. No, I was at it was like a 9-in-a-row anniversary game or a Legends game or something. I was actually a mascot for Ian Ferguson at that. The rest of the league select. But no, I don't think I've actually seen a testimonial, and I don't think I was old enough to see either McCoist or Gough. I think they both came before I was born. But I'm kind of a fan of it, but at the same time, it's a bit just like, I don't know, it's enjoy them while they're there and then kind of move on after it. I'm not too fussed either way. I think Tav deserves to be recognised anyway, but whatever way he wants that to happen, if he values it, then why not?
Yeah, totally agree with you. I hope Tav does get a testimonial. Right, we'll get into the events of last night. It was woeful from start to finish. But it was just a terrible, terrible game from Rangers. Not even a game of football that I think, neutral, you just couldn't enjoy it at all. Van Bronckhorst said in his post-match interview it was a very disappointing in a month that there's so much at stake. Rangers defeated 2-0 by Union Saint-Gilloise. It was just such a below par performance. I thought at times USG maybe sort of did what we did in Europe last year, sort of hitting the counter-attack. But I want to talk about the first 20 minutes, maybe, Crawford, when it was a bit positive. There was a Barisic free kick in there. I think Tillman looked lively. What were your thoughts in the first 20 minutes of that game?
Well, for me, it was the first 10.
Yeah.
I think after 10 minutes, me and Cherry had put on the group chat that we were getting Tillman on our strips. Because he was standing out like a sore thumb, and I thought we started really well. We were popping the ball about. We were high up the park. I think we had a couple of shots in goal, and I thought, well, this is a good start. Maybe get something out of this. And we just looked as if they just carried on from last season. But then, just after that, it absolutely collapsed. And I do not know how you can go from starting that way in 10 minutes to playing the rest of the 80 minutes. So below par. I was shocked by it. Shocked.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think, especially in Van Bronckhorst's post-match interview, I think he said very similar to that. He had no idea what was going on or why we changed it. Reece, what were you? Were you encouraged by the opening 10 minutes of that game? As you Crawford alluded to, I thought Tillman looked quite lively, a couple of shots as well, and then there was the Barisic free kick. I just assumed we were just going to go on and step it up from there, really, given our exploits in Europe last season against, quite frankly, much stronger opposition.
It looked like we'd started with the right intensity. Having to watch it back, because obviously that was the part of the game I never seen live, so I was working. But I had to go back and watch it. But it did look like we started well. But do you know that way I was watching it back going, right, when does it go wrong? And you're right, after about 10, maybe 15 minutes, you just start to see that drop off and the shape just kind of disappearing. And it was as if we had been told, right, get at them for the start, but nobody had told them to keep going.
Yeah. I can't disagree too much with that. I'd love to know what the dressing room was like at half time, especially. But we'll come on to the first goal, Crawford. 27 minutes. It was, I don't want to say it, I think the guy's Maltese. I've just not long back from Malta, and everybody I spoke to over there said the one thing about Maltese football is it's terrible, and there we go, a boy scoring against us. But it was attacked down the left. Ball was played into the box. Ryan Jack was sort of harrying the attacker. I'm not really too sure what he was doing. And then it sort of pops out. There's a loose ball. Again, Barisic, I thought this was terrible. He just sort of stuck a foot out. It popped out to the guy just inside the box, and he just smashed it, didn't he? He smashed it as hard as he could, I think, at the goal. Took a slight deflection off of Goldson, and very, very close to McLaughlin's hand for me. I want to talk about maybe Jack's role in the build-up and Barisic. What do you think about that? Could the goal have been stopped at source there?
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's an absolute calamity of errors. It's Ryan Jack, Barisic tippy-tapping around the ball, for you to put a challenge in. Ryan Jack especially, I mean, last night, that is the worst performance I've seen for him in a Rangers jersey. And I'm a huge Ryan Jack fan. I absolutely love the boy, but last night, miles off it. Barisic, the same. So between the two of them, just tippy-tapping around their players in the box, terrified to put a challenge in. Then it breaks to the boy that hits a shot. There's no Rangers player within 5 yards of him. Gets the shot off. There's a deflection, a slight deflection, and it goes right through McLaughlin for me. I'll have to watch the replays, obviously, that came up a few times before I made my mind up. But I said, as soon as it scored, I said McLaughlin's got to save that. And then when you see the replays, it's right through his hands. If that's McGregor, for me, he's saving that because he's a better shot stopper. But everything about that goal was just shocking. Everything about it, terrible.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with Crawford there, Reece. It's a debate I think you could have on every single podcast from now into the end of the season about who should be playing number one. But I can't quite remember what he said last night in the pod. Do you think McLaughlin covered himself in glory with that, even with the slight deflection off of Goldson?
It's hard to tell, but overall it's just a poor goal to lose. To be honest with you, the whole McLaughlin-McGregor debate it's starting to wear on me a bit. It's like we've not got real confidence in either of them. The two of them are the wrong side of 30. I know Goalkeeper's gone for a while on that, but I think realistically, at least at the end of this season, if not before then, it's a area of the pitch we need to address. But would McGregor have saved it? It's shoulda, woulda, couldas. Really, it's we're never going to know. And I don't know. It's just a terrible goal to lose and a terrible performance.
Yeah, I mean, the comments are absolutely lighting up about this, to be honest with you. I take a point from the Blue Baron. He said people are forgetting that McLaughlin saved a one-on-one. I think he did have a couple of good shots that he stopped throughout the game, but when you're looking at a goal like that, for me, I totally agree with Perry. He's got to do better. He's got to have a stronger right hand at that. The next bit of the game, again, we just didn't do anything. I was thinking of words about how to describe this, and the only sort of words I could think, it was so stodgy, it was so turgid. I can't quite remember a Rangers performance with the defence and the midfield and the attack were just so disconnected from each other. There just seemed to be no link up. And as I mentioned before, we just keep seeming to get hit on the break by USG. Obviously, we got the lineup: Crawford, Jack, Kamara, Lundstrom. I know that caused a bit of a debate in our group chat last night. Why do you think we started quite defensively? Do you see those three working together as a midfield in Europe? And do we really need to be playing? I think Jack and Kamara are similar players. Do we need to be playing a formation in that personnel in a European qualifier?
No, and no against that opposition. I mean, let's get it right. They're a good team. You know, they won the Belgian league before they go to that silly playoff thing that they do there. We can't really say because we've got a stupid split, but
yeah,
they're a decent team. They set up a team up well. And when I seen the Rangers team at the start, I was quite happy with it. I think most of us were in the chat. But what I wasn't expecting was for Lundstrom to play right centre back and keep dropping in. I mean, we were playing a 5, a 3. Kamara at some points is playing a 10, which for the life of me, I don't know why Gio plays him in that position. I think you've got to swap him and Lundstrom round because Kamara for me is a defensive midfielder. He gets about that area well. He doesn't have the awareness to play as a 10 and get the ball with his back to goal and try and pick a pass. I think he did it once last night. Yeah. He scored one goal, I think, from that position against Leipzig. He's not got a shot on him. So why he gets played in that position and Lundstrom is getting shoehorned into this centre-back position because it worked a couple of times last year. Lundstrom, for me, gets about the midfield. He's aggressive, he's a tackler, and he's got a shot on him. He should be the one that's playing further up the park. So, I mean, the midfield three, they're three good players. They're good midfielders, but the three of them together after last night, no for me. And Ryan Jack, for certain, I think needs to be taken out of the team and have a right good look at himself because he was so far off his standards, it was unreal.
Yeah, totally agree with you. That one, Ryan Jack, that's his poorest performance he's had in a long time in a Rangers shirt. I know maybe it's a bit early in the season, but I know a lot of people are already saying, is this maybe a wee step too far for him? But for what it's worth, I think he'll push on. We've seen too many big performances from him in big games, especially in Europe and especially in the league. So hopefully it's not the case. We've got 555 the Wolf. He says, for me, it's quite simple. Gio got the team wrong in the tactics, starting with the three defensive midfielders against a team who've hardly played in Europe. Should have played a more attacking team. Reece, do you agree to this with that to an extent? And was there any reason for us to be playing so defensive last night against, as Crawford said, a team that hasn't, they've got no experience in Europe, I think, in 58 years or something like that. So,
no, I must admit, see, to be honest, hindsight's a wonderful thing. See, if you said to me, we'll start with a midfield three, Jack, Lundstrom, Kamara last night, wouldn't have bothered. I'd have probably accepted it. I thought we were going to set up to be industrious. I thought we were going to be compact, hard to beat. I actually thought the likes of Arfield would start. I thought we'd have had a hard-working, dogged performance, kind of camp in, basically, hold it together in the first leg, take it back to Ibrox and beat them, but wasn't to be. I don't think that midfield three is weak whatsoever. Mm-hmm. I think it's totally capable of going and performing in Europe. I would be surprised if that midfield three hadn't started against Dortmund and Leipzig last year. Yeah. So it's not as if it was a shocking team decision. It was more the way they played rather than who played. But Jack, for me, he's looked miles off it this season. I don't know what it is. He's just not looked good. My mate was texting me, I can't remember what friendly it was. It was a West Ham one, actually, saying him and Scott Wright had been dug meat.
Yeah.
Like, to coin the same phrase that I used last night about Cholak. Then apparently he's been rotten pre-season and he's not looked anything great since. Last night was emblematic of it, but I honestly don't get why we went 5 at the back, really.
Yeah, I'm not too sure as well. I've heard sort of the inverted wingers chat, but it just there was no reason for it. The Crawford will come to the next point. It's our only attack of note that I can think of in the second half. You briefly touched on it earlier. The ball sort of finds Tav out on the right hand side. He plays a really good ball to Kamara, and I think for me this is maybe the only decent thing that Kamara did last night in the wee sort of spin that he does. He found Cholak and Cholak flashed it. I think it was a really good ball across the goal. That was the type of service that I think Cholak would have been crying out for last night, which he just didn't get. But should Rangers have made a bit more of that attack? Should Tillman have maybe been in and about it? Maybe gambled a bit more?
Aye, but it was just standard. It was par for the course last night. You get into that position and there's nobody following into the 6-yard box to finish it off. I think Lundstrom was actually at the back post.
Yeah,
it went for being right centre back to find himself in there. So that just, I mean, who knows what we were doing last night? I mean, you made a good point earlier where there was no cohesion at all between the team. See, between defence, midfield, and attack, it was like 3 separate banks. The press was all over the place. It was like one person was pressing and nobody was going with them, and USG were able just to pass around us. Yeah. They were set up. I think they'd watched Livingston at the weekend. They were set up exactly the same, sitting in a block. We couldn't pass through them. We were just going left to right, and then they pressed us at the exact moment where they could, and they all went together, forced us into where we didn't want to be, and then playing a long ball caused havoc again. Just they played us perfectly last night. We just get sucked into it and we were naive, and all we got out of it was that like one chance you say in the second half. That is all we've got to talk about.
Yeah, I'm again in complete agreement with you there. I was trying to fit a wee positive point in somewhere amongst all the negativity, but it's not even that positive to talk about. Reece, we'll come to what was certainly the most controversial moment in the match. Union were awarded a penalty in 76 minutes. I got to give McLaughlin a wee bit of credit here. I think he had quite a good save from one of their players inside the box. The ball finds a USG player outside the edge. He lays it off to another guy. He shoots. It ricochets off the back of Ben Davies' calf, his leg, something like that, and comes up and it hits the Connor Goldson's outstretched arm, and it's out with that silhouette that we've heard quite a lot about. I think at the time nobody thought too much about it, and then as soon as you see the ref putting his finger towards his ear and heading over, I think we all knew that we were going to get a penalty. Now I'm not opposed to VAR. I think VAR served us quite well in Europe. The only time I can remember that I feel we got shafted by it was perhaps the Edmondson handball against Bayer Leverkusen. But other than that, I think it's done well, especially the Dortmund. I think we had a similar sort of penalty awarded. But there was a particular account I was looking at on Twitter, a guy called Dale Johnson. He's
up the now.
You're looking at
his exact tweet up the now, aye.
He seems to be the sort of go-to guy about VAR. He's an editor for ESPN, and he was very vocal in saying that it was a ridiculous decision, shouldn't have been a penalty. And I'll read the exact law of the game that he quoted here. He said the exceptions to the handball rule are the player's arm is already extended when there is no expectation of the ball coming at or near the player from a teammate, which to me is exactly what happened last night. So, but with that information, Reece, do you still think it was a penalty or what?
Nah, I never thought it was a penalty, to be honest with you. Yeah, I was watching it last night going, what do you want him to do? Like, put a bit of common sense into it. Like, it's hit his hand, but if you slow something down 100 times for real speed, then anything's going to look bad. Do you know what I mean? There's plenty of instances of it, and I think he was getting shown it through the wrong angle, to be totally honest with you. When it went to VAR, when he went to check the monitor, it was being shown it from the striker's point of view.
Yeah.
And where it bounces off Davies, and Goldson's actually facing away from him. So you're watching it from kind of the outside of Goldson's forearm, and it then hits the inside. So it looks as if he's maybe had more time to pull away in the replay than what the view from behind the goal certainly showed, which was what I believe it was BT or Premier Sports, whoever, were showing. And it's never a handball in your life. The guy's about a yard away from him. Get a bit of common sense in it. He's not got enough time to blink, never mind pull his hand away. He's mid-fall, like he's basically thrown himself in front of a shot, about to hit the deck, and his arm's in the air. He can't pull it away or anything like that. It's never a penalty in your life. But as I said last night, I don't think it was the result itself that was wrong. 2-0, fair result in the end. It was just the manner of it. It's a terrible goal, and then it's never a penalty. But he had another few chances that could have easily buried. So I certainly don't think we deserve to take it into the game, regardless of how it happened.
Yeah, again, you've taken the words right out of my mouth for my next point with that. It's regardless of the penalty decision. I don't think there's too many Rangers fans that will be grumbling about being defeated 2-0 last night with the way that we played. As Crawford said, USG played to our frailties and they exposed them at times. But Crawford, with that, and what was your thoughts on the decision from the referee? Was it just terrible? Was he sort of, I don't know if the VAR team were being particularly clever with sending him over or what, but what I was aware of, the rule was is that if the ball touched your hand and anywhere in the box, you were kind of, that was it, you were screwed, it was a penalty, but that seems to suggest otherwise.
Aye, it does, and that's ridiculous. What are you supposed to do with your hands?
Yeah.
I mean, Connor Golson's not challenging the player. It's Davis that's challenging him, right? So he's not interacting with that player, and in that movement, the ball ricochets up and hits him in a hand. Where he's actually using that hand just naturally balancing himself because he's going into that movement. If you want to get into the biomechanics and be Michael Stewart here, so that's why it's happened. It's actually off his hand. And how the referee, I mean, forget the guys that are in the monitor, right? And they obviously think it is a penalty. That's just beyond me. But the referee, he's been involved in football. You'd hope long enough. He can go for that monitor and go, no, what he's talking about, that's accidental. What can that boy do? It's never a penalty. And then there's this thing where, like, I had an argument with my dad about it. It's like, we'll just go what we deserved. Like, well, we've not deserved to win. We probably deserve to lose 3 or 4 here, but it's no penalty. So you're getting out there with 1-0 rather than 2 because it's no penalty. That's a fact. But he's gave it. We've took it. I think that Reece made a good point though about the camera angle, and I'm trying to rack my brains. I think it was last season against Borussia Dortmund when we could have went 3-0 up. I think was it Morelos? It was clean through, and he got pulled back for a foul.
Yeah,
and only looked at one camera angle. And I think Alan McCoy said at the time, if they looked at the other angle, they would have seen clearly that it wasn't a foul, and Rangers would have got the third goal. So why is it only look at the one angle? And they can look. They've got access to 3 or 4, and they can see a better angle. Beyond me.
Yeah, it was crazy. I did see a lot of questions of that being asked on Twitter, but if that's I believe the VAR officials were German last night. You know, they are obviously one of the top 5 leagues in the world. I can't wait to have VAR in the SPFL, by the way, because we'll see how it pans out. The next point we'll come on to, Reece, is just about some of the changes that happened. We've seen it before from Gio in the past. He's made tweaks during games, just he's identified things and he's sorted them out straight away. I think maybe a bit surprised. I know at halftime, the Livingston game, he made changes. He brought Tillman on, but he left it a bit later against USG. I think it was around 67 minutes. He brought Davies and Yilmaz on, and then 77 he brought Lawrence and Wright on. What do you think about any of those changes and those guys that came on? Did any of them really do anything, and could you see his thinking, and is it a concern that he made changes and nothing happened, nothing changed?
It was a bit too little too late for me, to be honest. Thought Scott Wright looked better than Matondo and Tillman when he came on. I think he was our only kind of player that you'd have said impressed in his minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
Because he came on, he was actually direct, he was dragging us up the park, he was progressing the ball up the park. Now, this is going to be a wild comparison, right? So I'm saying in no way whatsoever that they are of a similar quality, but he does what Jack Grealish does. He'll take the ball for a fullback, he'll take it deep, he'll drive with it, he'll take the ball up the park, he'll progress play and get you into
Oh, I think we've lost Reece there, but we'll maybe stick with that point. Crawford, what did you think about some of the changes that came on? Yilmaz for Barisic. I was very vocal in the group yesterday in saying that I wasn't really confident in Barisic starting at all, and I think I was proven to be right in that. Could you see the sense in guys like Yilmaz and Davies and stuff like that coming on, and what did you think of their impact in the game?
I think they had to come on. I think Barisic should have been hooked at half time. He was having an absolute stinker. I think he knows his cards marked, because you don't go and spend that money on a left back to sit on the bench. I think Van Bronckhorst has seen something for Barisic last year that's worried him. He's a confidence player, and if his confidence goes, he's way off it. So I was surprised with Yilmaz coming on. I was surprised with Ryan Jack going off. Thought he should have went off earlier. Sands as well, I think he was struggling.
Yep.
A few times the ball got stuck onto his foot. Davis come on, and you can't really criticise him because he's just come on. I think he gave the ball away at one point. I think that maybe led to the penalty as well. But I'm not going to lay any blame at his door because he's just been chucked in there. Same with Yilmaz. So yeah. I just felt as if the changes could have been made sooner. I know a lot of people disagree with half-time subs, but I mean, you could have changed them at half-time. Yeah. I think Van Bronckhorst could have made a point and said, look, there's 3-4 years that are way, way below what the standards are, and you're getting hooked.
Yeah, totally agree. Reece, you seem to have transported to a new location now. Glad you're back with us. It was something that I thought you said last night, which I thought was spot on, was the complete lack of creativity that we've had against Livingston and against USG. I can't recollect one clear-cut chance that we've made where a striker's been through in goal or a winger's been through in goal. It all seems to have been shots from outside the box. The Arfield goal that we scored was a very, very, very well executed goal by him, and obviously the other goal was a tab free kick. Is it a concern that we've created virtually nothing against two teams? And what is it? Is it the personnel? Is it the tactics? What needs to change?
100% it's a concern. I don't actually know if it's the tactics. I think it's more the personnel. A lack of familiarity, players no gelling. Kent no being there, forced, like what I would have expected to be Lawrence out wide left. Yeah. Then he played Tillman there, who I think is more used to playing a central role. Yeah. So he almost kind of floated and was caught between playing in the left and playing as a 10. And it just seemed that we were just hitting and hoping last night. We're punting it up to Cholak, and it honestly seemed like a defending training drill where you've got an attack coming onto you, your back four are challenged, and if you win the ball back, you hoof it back up to the halfway line and start again. Because it was just constantly hoofing it long and being attacked afterwards. We just didn't seem to have any sort of midfield last night. Lundstrom, Kamara, Jack were all camped outside the box. And as I was saying before, the connection went a wee bit. Scott Wright was probably the only one actually progressing the ball up the park. Yep. He was doing, I don't know to what extent this comment came through, he was doing almost a B-Tech version of what Jack Grealish does, taking the ball for deep, progressing it up the park, running with it, maybe winning a foul or trying to create something. More often than not, Scott Wright will put it in Rose's head when he tries to create something, but at least he's doing it. Last night we just didn't have anything. And I think it's personnel, personally. I think we need certain players for certain games, but what concerns me most is last night, they're a good team. You don't get any Champions League qualifiers for nothing. We've had one game against inferior opposition, with all due respect to Livingston, and we have one game against a decent side in USG. We've not looked creative in either. I don't think we've looked comfortable in either. Maybe we had more of the ball against Livingston, but it was just possession for the sake of it, and last night it was just hitting hope.
Yeah, I think you're spot on again with that. it is worrying, but maybe the only positive I could possibly take away from the game after it was in Gio's press match conference, where I'm glad he was aware of how poor we played, and I'm glad he was also shocked at how poor we played. He knows he's won the Champions League, hasn't he? He knows how important the tournament is. He's played for Rangers. And the fact that he said we need to change it big time for next Tuesday. Crawford, we'll come to you on this in terms of it's what do we need to do basically in the next leg to turn it around. A couple of wee things that I was maybe thinking of, and I know we all discuss it. The atmosphere at Ibrox, I don't think it'll be as bouncing, I suppose, as maybe sort of semi-finals and quarter-finals and stuff like that. But I certainly think the fans will be looking forward to what's officially the first home game of the season. Something I was possibly thinking is that they will not be used to playing in front of 50,000 being supporters. The biggest stadium in Germany, I think, is Club Brugge. I think it's about 30,000. So they'll never be in an atmosphere like that, I think, most of those players. So what do you think's going to happen? Do you think we'll see Kent and Morelos back, or what do we need to do?
I read a wee teaser for Van Bronckhorst saying that Morelos has been training with him for a while, and there's a good chance he could be in the squad. So, I mean, if that happens, I'll be absolutely delighted. I love the guy, but
yeah,
Kent back as well. That's a huge boost. Doesn't matter who we've brought in. I don't think not having they two in the team is a huge blow. But listen, we can't keep relying on the Ibrox crowd. We know how good it is. It's certainly not going to be, what it's like when you're in the later stages of the Europa League. But I think if we can get an early goal, the crowd will be right up for it, and they'll cheer the team on and they'll get right behind them. The players need to come out, and the manager needs to set them up, and it needs to be high tempo, keeping them camped in, because they're going to play like, a lower Scottish team coming to Ibrox, camping in and trying to hit us in the counter. They've got their 2 goals. They've got everything just to sit in and hit us with. So that's what it's going to be. We've got to try. I think we've got to score in the first 20, 30 minutes anyway, get a goal, get the crowd behind us. And the players have just got to really turn up and actually perform the way a Rangers player should perform, because that last night was nowhere near it.
Yeah, it was miles off it. Rhys, are you a bit more optimistic than you were last night, or are you still very much that's the tie over? And do you think having Kent and possibly Morelos back as well, do you think that'll make a difference?
I think it makes a massive difference if they're both back. Whether or not they're fully sharp or not is a different thing. Like, you could risk throwing them back too early and you've not even won the game. If it's different, see if we get through, then it could be worth it. But say you put the 2 of them in, one of them, if not both of them, come out of it worse off than what they were, and we don't get through the tie, is it worth it for another couple of weeks without them? Personally, I think the tie's over anyway, but I can't see us coming back for this. We've not created any open play chances in 2 games. Like, let's be fair, we've not. I can't see us scoring 2 goals, let alone enough to turn the tie around. And I think a special shout out just for Bruges being the biggest stadium in Germany. Was that, Kyle?
Germany, was it? Is that? I didn't know what you were laughing at. You never know who the Champions League is. It's close, isn't it?
Aye, it's next door. Aye, Bruges is in Belgium, mate. We'll go with that. But nah, I think it's tie over personally, and I think we just focus on the league at the minute, get through Kilmarnock, then worry about the second leg.
There we go. My knowledge in Belgian football stadiums is dug me, But yeah, Crawford, we'll go into the last point of the pod. We welcome Kilmarnock at Ibrox in our first 3 o'clock kickoff. Obviously, Kilmarnock riding a bit of a crest of a wave in terms of winning the championship. McInnes is the manager. Few familiar faces in there. I think Lewis Mayo, but he won't be eligible to play against us. I know they've got Jordan Jones, Rangers' favourite Kyle Lafferty will be returning as well. And if I remember rightly as well, I think that Alan Power, who I can't stand, is back at them again. So what are you expecting on Saturday from a McInnes Kilmarnock side?
Not much, to be honest. I watched them a wee bit in the championship for the kind of local team. I thought they were really poor last year. I don't think they've signed great. Obviously, Mayo is a good signing for them. Jordan Jones, I think he's past his best time of his career. His pace is kind of went as well. So think they'll be stuffy, defensive, try and frustrate us. Lafferty's a danger because you know what he's like with finishing. If he gets a chance, he'll put it away. Hopefully, he'll just take it by the post if he's a good Rangers man. But Rangers should be going out and batting Kilmarnock, let's be honest. We should be going out and batting Kilmarnock, and I really hope the players, after last night, that's a rocket that they need, and they come out and they put a show on and we get 3 or 4 goals. No disrespect to Kilmarnock, but they're just up and they shouldn't be in the same league as Rangers, considering what we did last year. So hopefully we get a confidence building win and we can take it into Tuesday and somehow try and turn this tie around.
Yeah, and Rhys, what are you expecting from Saturday? Again, are you still as dour as you were yesterday about that?
Nah, mate. See, to be honest, see if we go out and beat Kilmarnock by 3 or 4 on Saturday, I'll be quite happy going into Tuesday. But I just don't have any basis so far that we can score that many goals, create that many chances. Funnily enough, I went to school with Fraser Murray that plays for Kilmarnock. And I seen him just last week actually, and he was saying they'd been getting run into the ground in pre-season. So they'll be hard working. Kyle Lafferty, you know he's going to put a shift in whether or not he scores. But I honestly, I'm not that confident in that back four playing against Lafferty. And that's saying something. Jordan Jones, his pace might have went, but you know he's just like hit a shot for somewhere and it'll take a wee deflection or something.
Yeah.
They're going to be dogged, they're going to be hard working. McInnes is going to stink the gaff out again, like he's done every time he's came with Aberdeen before in the past. And I'm quite worried for Saturday. I don't see us getting 3 points. That's like the sun coming up in the morning. You know I'm going to predict us to drop points. It's just a case of when I predict it. But I think it's going to be a real tough game Saturday and a tough watch.
Yeah, I was going to ask for score predictions, but I'm not going to bother after that, Rhys, to be honest with you. But I think we'll leave it there. The last note, I think John Joe saying this, and I agree with this, we need to hammer Killie on Saturday. The fans deserve a performance, and I think we all do. I think we can all agree on that. But listen, that was a difficult one to talk about. Well done again, Rhys, for talking about it again. And thanks to you as always, Crawford. Obviously, you can check us out on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram. Give us a like on all those places. Remember, like and subscribe to the video. We've got more great content coming up. I know we've got our bulletins that we do Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 7 o'clock, and then the live Sunday bulletin at 8 o'clock. We've got My Rangers 11 from myself and Scott Patterson. That should be coming out soon. That was great. I'm a bit similar to you, Rhys, in terms that I hadn't seen any of the Goffs and McCoists and your Gazes and your Loudrups and stuff like that. So I think that was an interesting team. We've got an In the Dugout coming out. And have you got any Rangers ranks coming up, Rhys?
We've recorded the strikers from 1990 onwards. So you've got the likes of McCoist, Tately, Boyd, Morelos, Jelavic. Who'd you put in the same par? Who do you think's better than the other? All that good stuff. So, that's getting ranked. So, we'll see when that comes out.
Perfect. And just want to say thanks to everybody for watching and leaving all your comments as usual. Take care and hopefully we win on Saturday.